My name is Mia. Standing in front of the imposing glass tower of Sterling Enterprises, I look at my reflection in the glass. Tired yet determined, I feel like a phoenix reborn from the ashes. It's been 3 days since that fateful night, and now I stand on the threshold of a new life. As I step inside, the air is thick with the smell of marble, power, and silence. The same portraits line the walls as they did at my father's funeral years ago. My grandfather looks down at me with a stern gaze, and my aunt, Victoria Sterling, younger but just as intimidating, smiles faintly in one of the pictures. There's an empty space on the wall, waiting for the next generation to fill it. Victoria is waiting in her office, bathed in sunlight and surrounded by an air of expensive indifference. She looks up as I enter, a small smile playing on her lips. "You came," she says. I nod. "You said it was time." She gestures for me to sit. Sterling Enterprises doesn't run on mercy, Mia. It runs on precision and loyalty. You proved both. I meet her gaze. "You mean I proved I can walk away from blood?" Her smile widens slightly. "That's exactly what I mean." She slides a sleek folder across the desk. "Your brother's accounts, assets, and the company's shares our father left him, all frozen. I'm transferring them to you under trusteeship. You'll manage them until he qualifies for redemption if he ever does." I stare at the papers, a mix of shock and determination coursing through me. "So, I take everything?" "No," she says firmly. "You reclaim what was stolen." Her words hit me like a ton of bricks. I take the pen, sign the documents, and feel the weight of my old life start to crumble. I'm no longer a victim of the Sterling legacy. I'm becoming the legacy itself. A week later, I find myself back at the small, dilapidated house where it all began. The front door hangs crookedly, the wallpaper is peeling, and the air reeks of stale regret. My brother, Lucas, sits at the kitchen table, his eyes hollow and his body trembling. He looks up as I enter. "They took everything," he rasps. "The accounts, the car, even the house gone." "Was that you?" I set my purse down, calm and composed. "No," I say quietly. "That was you. I just stopped saving you from the consequences." He gives a hollow laugh. "You think you're better than me now, sitting in your fancy tower?" I step closer, my heels echoing on the cracked tile. "No, I don't think I'm better. I think I finally became who I was meant to be without you dragging me down." He slams his fist on the table, but the sound is weak and empty. "They're calling you the Iron Heir, you know," he sneers. "And Victoria's little prodigy." I lean in. If that's what it takes to make sure no one ever tries to sell their own blood again, then yes, I'll wear it proudly. He looks away, defeated. "So, this is it. This is closure," he says. I nod. "You live with your choices. I'll live with mine." I turn to leave, pausing at the door. "And one day, when you've paid every debt, maybe you'll understand the cost of betrayal." As I walk out into the rain, I feel free, untouchable, and unstoppable. But this moment of triumph is built on a foundation of pain and betrayal that goes back years. Let me take you back to that night, the night my life changed forever. It was a typical evening at home when 3 men in suits stormed into our living room. They looked like wolves in human clothing, and the leader, a tall, imposing man with black gloves and a cold, dark stare, stood out from the rest. The air was thick with fear and the smell of cheap cologne. "Where's the money, mister?" "Sterling," the leader asked coolly. My brother, Lucas, who had always been a gambler, was trembling like a leaf. Without a second thought, he dived behind the couch and screamed, "Take my sister instead of the money. Just don't touch me." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. I couldn't breathe. For a moment, my mind went blank, and all I could hear was the sharp ringing in my ears and see my mother's portrait on the wall, as if it were judging me. Lucas then pointed straight at me. "Take her. She's useless anyway." The man in the black suit turned to look at me. His gaze froze, his jaw tightened, and his voice, which had been cold before, suddenly changed. "Wait. What did you just say?" He took a step closer, his eyes locked on my face. The room fell silent, except for Lucas's pathetic whimpering. The man leaned in, his voice low and sharp as a blade. You tried to hand over the niece of Victoria Sterling, owner of Sterling Enterprises? His next words sent a chill down my spine. You just made a fatal mistake. Lucas's face went blank, his mouth half open, his eyes darting between the man in black and me. And niece of who? He stammered, but it was already too late. The man straightened his tie, gave a faint nod to his men, and they shifted into action. One of them quietly locked the front door, and another pulled down the blinds. My stomach twisted, not from fear, but from a sense of inevitability. You mean to tell me? The man said softly, almost amused. You tried to sell her to clear a gambling debt? He tilted his head toward me. Do you even know who you're messing with? Lucas's voice cracked. I didn't know. She doesn't even talk to that side of the family. It was true. I hadn't spoken to Aunt Victoria in 5 years. Ever since Lucas had drained our parents' savings, she had accused me of choosing him over the company. But blood is thicker than water, and distance can erase family ties. The man's demeanor shifted completely. He turned to me, his tone respectful now. MS. Sterling, I had no idea. Forgive the intrusion. We have other business to handle. I stared at him, stunned. What kind of business? He smiled slightly. The kind that corrects mistakes. Behind me, Lucas whispered, Mia, tell them to stop. For the first time in my life, I didn't move to help him. They dragged him from behind the couch like a rag doll. His voice broke into sobs as they pinned him to the floor. I stood there, unmoving, unblinking. The man in black crouched down beside him. You see, Mr. Sterling, there's a difference between owing money and offending power. You did both. He glanced at me briefly, giving a small, almost imperceptible nod before continuing. Sterling Enterprises is more than a corporation. It's a fortress, and you tried to barter the blood of its own. Lucas kept screaming my name like it was a shield. Mia, please. Tell them you're not with her anymore. Tell them you're broke, just like me. But I wasn't broke. After years of swallowing my pride, I had built myself back up piece by piece. While Lucas was gambling away our parents' legacy, I had been quietly working as a financial analyst. I looked at him and finally spoke. You sold your soul the day you took Dad's watch to the casino. This is just the receipt. The man in black rose slowly. We'll leave you alive, he said to Lucas, because death would be too kind. He turned to me. MS. Sterling, we'll ensure you're compensated for this inconvenience. I shook my head. Keep your money. He looked intrigued. Then what do you want? I looked at my trembling brother. Justice, I said. And I'll deliver it myself. 15 minutes later, they left, silent and efficient, like shadows that had never existed. But they didn't leave empty-handed. They took every ledger, contract, and loan document Lucas had signed with their name on it. The moment the door clicked shut, the house felt different. It was heavy, as if the walls themselves had absorbed all the pain and betrayal. Lucas collapsed to his knees, shaking. Mia, please, he whimpered. I didn't know they'd come for me like that. I stared at him, my pulse steady, my voice even. You never know, do you? You didn't know when you emptied Mom's savings. You didn't know when you pawned Dad's medals. You didn't know when you nearly sold your own sister. He looked up at me, tears cutting through the grime on his face. You don't understand. I was desperate. I crouched down to his level, my tone sharp. No. You were greedy. There's a difference. He flinched, his gaze darting to the door as if he expected those men to burst back in. They won't hurt you again, I said quietly. But they'll ruin you. Completely. Every debt, every lie, it's already in motion. They don't forgive betrayal. He grabbed my wrist. Mia, please stop them. I'll change, I swear. I pulled my hand free. You had years to change. I turned and walked toward the door. For once, I'm not saving you. I'm saving what's left of me. As I stepped outside, the night swallowed me whole. Rain had started to fall, a soft, steady rain that seemed to wash away all the lies and pain. I stood there under it, letting it soak through my hair, my jacket, and my anger. For the first time in years, I wasn't trembling. I wasn't afraid. I was awake. I pulled my phone from my pocket and scrolled to a number I hadn't called in forever. Victoria Sterling, my aunt, the CEO of Sterling Enterprises, the woman who had once told me, "One day, you'll learn that forgiveness and weakness are not the same." When she answered, her voice was crisp and controlled.
Mia.
"And Victoria," I said. "You were right." There was a pause. "About what, darling?" "About family, about knowing when to let rot fall away." Her tone shifted, a faint softness beneath the steel. "Then I assume your brother finally crossed the final line?" "Yes," I whispered. "He tried to sell me." The silence that followed was cold and calculated. "Then, I see." I hesitated, then added, "The men who came tonight, they knew who I was. They acted on it." Her voice didn't change. "Of course they did. I made sure of it." I froze. "You what?" "I've kept an eye on him for years, Mia," she said simply. "And on you. You've just proven which one of you deserves to carry the Sterling name." I stood under the rain, stunned into silence. Her words echoed through me, cold, deliberate, final. "You knew?" I asked, my voice breaking between disbelief and fury. "Of course," she replied calmly. "You don't grow an empire like Sterling Enterprises without knowing where the rot begins. Your brother's debts, his scams, they've been circling us for years. Tonight, he wrote his own obituary." My hand trembled around the phone. "You used me." "No," she said softly. "I tested you. I needed to know if you'd become another Sterling coward or something better." I let out a sharp laugh that sounded more like a sob. "So, you sent men to my home to scare him and me?" "To protect you," she corrected. "And to remind him that family isn't a shield for corruption. It's a mirror. It reflects who you truly are." I sank down on the porch steps, my wet hair clinging to my face. "So, what now?" I whispered. "Now," she said, her voice shifting into something almost proud. "You come home." "I don't have a home," I said. "You do," she said. "Sterling Enterprises was built by your grandfather, not by me. It's your bloodline, too. You've earned your place back, but you'll have to take it." I looked through the rain toward the dim house behind me, where Lucas's shadow moved through the blinds like a ghost. "I will," I said. "But not out of revenge, out of survival." And that's how I found myself here, on the verge of a new chapter in my life, ready to embrace the legacy that was once stolen from me.